little hidden gem that I do like. So, timer doesn't start until we get control of the character. We have to mash the tutorial first. Just an old, timing method that's used that probably should be changed. But also the problem is that if you soft reset, you can skip the tutorial, so... Alright, I'll let you know start the timer. We're going to start a little early here in, I don't remember how many checks boxes there are, but 3, 2, 1, go.
Let's go!
So, here on the first screen we need to beat up enemies once they appear for money. We need to get 300 monies. So, if you've played Ikaruga, then you'll recognize this color system that the main character uses, where there is one side you're blue and one side you're red or pink. And you can only damage enemies that are pink or red with the blue shots, and you can damage blue enemies with the red shots. If you're on the same side as an enemy, you're going to absorb those shots from them. So like there, I was red, so I absorbed the red shot from that enemy there. We need to get 300 money, but that's okay. There's a couple other screens where you can get 300 money. So because this is a working designs game, there were a lot of changes made between the US and Japanese versions. So what I said about you blocking the shots of the enemies if they're the same color, in the... Let's see, if you block the shots, you're going to lose your mana. You're going to use your mana. In the US version, you can absorb mana back from enemies by hitting them with that same color, and you absorb it back and get it back into your own pool. In the Japanese version, that does not work. You just drain it from the enemies and do not absorb it back. That is also because in the US version, when you actually use your weapon, you lose mana. In the Japanese version, you do not. So we need to mash here. There's a lot of mashing in this game. We need to mash here to the very top of the item screen to get this level 6 weapon, because this was a secret shop. There's a bunch of secret shops in the game. And we get a level 6 weapon, and we are set for the rest of the game with weapon-wise. Another thing the US version changed is the prices of weapons. The prices are determined by what weapon it is, so this little basic weapon here, the Sarosa, is very cheap because they said they think it sucks. But in the Japanese version, all levels are the same, so all level 6 weapons are 900 money. So this is a boss. That was a boss. That's another boss. You can just knock him off the ledge to do half his health and damage. Another thing changes with those enemies there, those walker enemies, they have less health in the Japanese version because the US difficulty is set at, like, hard mode. So all the normal type enemies have higher health.
Enemy power status critical. Oh, how embarrassing. I did it!
And that's pretty much, that's area 1. It's kind of a little tutorial. You never get the same color, both colors enemies at the same time. They're always separate. Very easy to get through. This game is actually pretty damn hard. If most people that play it casually have said that it is pretty hard. And the US version, most people do not like the US version. They prefer the Japanese version, especially the Saturn version. This game was also originally released on Saturn. With better backgrounds. The Saturn version has better backgrounds in this stage and another stage, and better sound effects. Yeah, just play the Saturn version, but I like this one better just because I've played it like hundreds of times. So I'm much more used to the controls and the way the absorption of mana and stuff works. The localization is pretty good for this because, again, Working Designs, they put it full of, you know, they were the kings of memes before memes were a thing.
You shall become the rust of my sword.
So if you let that boss live for too long, people in the background will wake up and start throwing stuff at you that does neutral damage. Neutral damage, as compared to the red or the blue, does damage to both your health and your mana pool. So if we drop down right at that point and just crouch dash across, you'll always get the little glitch there when you cross over the point into the cutscene, where you'll dash to this point instead of just walking. And this is our first Zohar battle.
Go easy on me.
We want to grab her and punch her and juggle her in the corner. She is not cooperating. There we go. She flies around a lot, so you don't want her to just be dodging around the screen, dodging all your attacks. And she is a dual element like you are, so she can turn colors to blue, and then you have to switch sides and stuff. The controls are also different between this version and the Japanese PS1 version. There's a few differences when it comes to the triangle button and the shoulder buttons, I believe. The triangle button you never want to press in the US version. It is forbidden. Never touch it. If you do, your run will die. What it does is it actually swaps your side so that when you're facing left, instead of being blue, you'll be red. And it throws off every single boss fight in the game. I don't know why it's an option that they included. And this walker's being slow, so we'll just shove him off twice. In a perfect fight, you would just shove him off. You would hit him once with the Gatling gun and then shove him off one more time after that. So we go, 2 feet and there's another boss. It's a treasure game, there's going to be a ton of bosses. So if this guy lives for too long, he will jump back into his truck and start throwing stuff at you, then it wastes time. He can also do a muscle load power-up attack, which really doesn't do anything, and that wastes time because it gives him invincibility for a short time while he is doing the animation. So time for the first random boss in the game. This is the freaking gun. This boss can take anywhere from like under a minute to forever because it is random. That is a really good first round. So the little dudes come up and run into the chamber, and they're going to be bullets to shoot at you. And you want as many pink ones as possible. And also you don't want to spin around like that. You don't want the recoil to be really high. You don't want to shoot the pink ones too much because then they'll lose power and become like little dud bullets.
Reflector! Enemy power status critical.
Oh, I missed the last one there. That's not good. Alright, we'll do a 3-round gun then, that's okay. Or, you know, the first 2 shots could just be duds. And be, you know, that's why it's called the frickin' gun. Because it never goes right. But it is possible if you do get like 6 really good shots in the first round, you can just defeat it right then. And here's the best boss in the game. The flying cat girl fish that loves flowers very much. Everybody say yeah. So, she wanted us to buy her pretty freaking flowers, but we don't purchase flora from giant homicidal flying fish. And that's area 2. Another simple area.
Be careful. Remember, how's on your trail now?
So this is when the game starts throwing both colors of enemies at you. Here, if you just stand here, you'll just be able to shoot these flying dudes as they come out. If you do move at all, the guys in the background will start throwing bombs at you. And that just gets annoying. If you continue off to the left here after this screen instead of jumping down, you'll get to another secret shop that has a different weapon. We only need this one weapon in this version. In the Japanese version, you actually use a different weapon because of the no mana drain when using weapons. It's a lot more viable to use something else that has more knockback and is a little stronger than this one. But it also involves a lot of mashing to use that weapon because it's not auto fire. This one's just a straight up auto fire. Hold down square button and go to town. Although the auto fire only works if you're over 200 mana. Once you're under 200, then you have to start mashing. Also, in this area, if you go down at that first split, you can get to another secret shop. If you go up, it takes a little faster because you don't have to wait for the wheel to destroy a wall at the end. So our next boss is going to be this guy behind the pillar. We need to wait for him to come out, because he's shy. And that's good, he gave us spirit. We want to actually die before a certain point in this game, so we don't want to get a health refill there. So this boss is broken. If I can grab him. There we go. Punch him into the corner and he forgets how to boss. And he'll just stand there and die. If you back off far enough, he'll start throwing his Hadokens back at you. But if you stay just in range where he would normally try to attack you, he won't do anything. So here's the next major boss. His gimmick is you can turn him colors before you turn him a color before the main body will appear that you shoot. You want to turn him blue because his pink side has a homing attack. That's super annoying. compared to the blue's, like, giant screw-off beam that he used right there. Come back in range, please. I think if you let him run around too much, he'll turn invisible again, but you can always just defeat him in 2 rounds like that. So usually we get a save before areas end, or we don't get a save before areas end. But this time we got a save because there's one more boss in this area. We defeat Zohar again because he hacked into our transport thingy. This one's a little more annoying because he starts on his blue side. Please stop jumping over me. The pink side is more ranged. The blue side is more of a melee for them. Oh, that's cool. She did the energy ball move. So this is gonna stay on the screen while it transitions because they don't despawn it until it actually like despawns by the counter. Alright, now Area 3 is done.
Keep an eye out for those guardian angels, yes.
Still pretty easy. So Area 4 is the last kind of long area in the game. The game gets a little more boss rushy the closer you get to the end. And here we're gonna have our side-scroller, because every game has a side-scroller in it. It was like mandatory for action platformer type games to have side-scrollers in the 90s or something, so this one has one. His hands are his weak point, and he shoots stuff at us. And every so often in HP, I don't know the exact thresholds for that, but you'll have to stop and he'll have to turn the car down the next road. This is another level where the backgrounds in the Saturn version were more detailed.
Watch where you're driving, idiot!
So if you want to pick up this game to play, which I highly recommend, it's like, you can find it for like $30–40 online. Both the Saturn and the US versions run about the same price. This is one of the, weird Saturn games where it's actually expensive for the Japanese copy. Usually they're not too expensive, but in any case, a good strat for bosses in the US version is to drain all of their mana before actually starting to attack them. Sure, they take longer, but then they can't attack you back. And this works on on all the bosses except for Zohar and except for the final bosses. If you're playing the Japanese version, then you don't need that strat because the Japanese version is a lot easier. So that's the minimum amount of time of transitions you can do for that boss, because you have to be finishing the level by heading to the right for the cutscene to work. So this screen is annoying. You got all these guys coming at you. It's a little hard to do it quickly because you have to change sides and then run back over to this place to get the rest of these guys that are coming from the other side of the screen. And we don't get to fight this girl yet. Have to fall down the trapdoor and fight this other guy first. So down at the bottom here, I'm going to drop down and... Look, there's another secret shop. But we don't need it. So this guy's gimmick is he makes shadow puppets that will attack you. You know, if he stands still... Okay, he's apparently not going to actually make any shadow puppets. There we go, he made one right at the end. But he can make like a dragon, he can make a tank, he can make a giant laser. He can make like a Gatling gun. But if you drain his magic, then he can't do anything. Alright. Gimmick boss number 2 here for this stage. First you have to shoot off her sign, so she's really just a midget. Oh, I missed it. Okay. What you can do there is actually juggle her in the air. If you can get the timing right and she doesn't block you, it can go infinitely. I don't know why I ran from that, but you kind of wanted to get hit. Okay, come on. So these slots are rigged. You hit them by using one of the buttons to jump or reflect or something. Especially when it goes in her favor, like that giant dark smiley face that sent down the lightning bolt. It'll keep going until it hits that. We're apparently, you know, going for coins. Come on. Ooh, I got her. Okay, I expected her to do another slot machine pull there before, when she had like 8 health left or something, but cool. That's health, and I don't want that. I'm gonna end up picking up a couple pieces of it, that's fine. That's okay. So this is the second most famous boss in the game, I think. This is the soup boss. I hope you like hearing Power Punch, because you're going to be hearing Power Punch for the next about 4 minutes. And maybe 2 minutes. Depends on how long he takes, because this is all dependent on the boss behaving. So what he did there is he sniffed. You want him to sniff. He can sniff, he can just talk, he can throw in salt. I would like some salt in chat to counteract his salt. What you need to do is change and keep this soup to the sort of purplish color, because you're punching the blue guys into it. When it's pink, and it makes pink bubbles, it will give him spirit. And when he gets to 100 spirit on his bar, he will throw an attack. And that just wastes time. It's not lethal because you can just stand in the corner, the same corner that I'm on, and turn your reflector on and not take any damage. But if you don't see it coming, then you can easily get killed or lose all of your spirit, all your mana. When you lose all your mana and you have multiple weapons, then the weapon you have equipped will be absorbed. And if this weapon gets absorbed, the level 6 one I have on, then it's pretty much done. It's run over.
Oh dear Lord, that's terrible.
If you get both your weapons absorbed, then it will kind of give you a default weapon based on the area you're on. So I think at this point, if I had both these absorbed for whatever reason, it would give me a level 4 Sarosa. If you just play with the default Sarosa, like not get anything else, it will kind of level up. So you're not you know, stuck with this level 1 weapon and actually have to buy things. But the only other place to buy level 6 weapons in the game, I think, is at the very last part, right after the final boss. So if you're in a situation where you're going to end up, like, your mana's gonna run out and you're gonna lose your weapon, it's more preferable to die with your health, because you get 10 continues in this game, and a continue will restore your health back to max, and your mana back to max. You won't lose anything.
That's terrible.
So he takes 8 damage per sniff, and 100 is not divisible by 8, so he's left with this little tiny 4 HP bar at the end, which stinks. And there we go.
I underestimated the power of soup.
I did it!
Never underestimate the power of soup. There's a random cutscene there that we skip. I don't even know what happens in that cutscene anymore. I think the building blows up because of all the soup, and then Bug saves you.
Do your best, and I'll see you again soon.
So our transport nexus got hacked into again, and we get sent to this, like, desert area where there's this, two-headed sheep-goat worm that comes and greets us. Because why not? One's a professor and one's a surfer. We want to go to the right, just doesn't matter which way you go. I just know the right-hand path better. It's the same basic path, just that the right side is going to have an extra shop. It's going to have a secret shop in it. And you're heading towards the left. If you head to the left at the beginning, you're going to be running towards the right to the end. So I guess you could kind of meet up in the middle. The boss of this area is in the middle. So we want to switch to our level 1 weapon here in case we end up getting absorbed, because most of the enemies, both the bosses inside this area are neutral. So stuff like that happens, and
Reflector! Reflector!
come on,
Reflector! Enemy power status critical.
when you get hit with the neutral, you end up doing damage to both your health and your spirit, and you don't want your spirit to get drained completely. So if what you want to do for that spider mini-boss is just to get hit, grabbed 3 times with his little string, and then reflect it back. My control pad's a little mushy, so it's not responding as much as I would like it to. And then this is the worst boss in the game. Other than the hard path final boss, the true ending boss, this boss is the worst boss in the game. Also, probably the most annoying boss. So he's neutral. All you can do is reflect. You have to reflect off his 200 health.
Damage.
That was almost good. What you want him to do is that grenade move, and then you don't want him to go into iframes afterwards. You want him to stand still.
Damage.
You want him to get bounced off into the explosions as well. So kind of like that. You don't want him jumping around because that just wastes time.
Enemy power status.
That was really good, right? That's a good example right there. And he can change the enemies that he spawns to the 2 colors or to neutral.
Damage.
There's a little glitch when the enemies are neutral, that you can hold him in front of the enemies, and he'll take damage from their shots. Because it's just calculating his neutral damage, I'm guessing.
ramp.
Actually, this is a really good place to die,
Damage.
if I can.
Damage.
This is also a really good setup for killing him, so I don't want to. So we'll just die in the
Damage.
next fight.
Power depleted. Initiate self-destruct mode.
It's a little dangerous to die there because of the neutral damage. So you would want to die by the shots the little minions are doing. So if you do not die
Power status.
by the end of this next boss fight, you get thrown into a cutscene where if you make the 3 correct choices, you fight a special boss. And the cutscene you get for dying and restarting with the continue is faster than the cutscene for skipping the secret boss by answering wrong. So that's why you want to die.
Time to test your metal. Helping hand.
There we go.
Helping hand. Helping hand. Helping hand.
Your continues do carry over between run-throughs of this game on the same save file. You start with 10, so to do an all... There's a category of this run called All Paths. At least... Okay, I died. You can stop hitting me now. He only has 4 HP left until he's gone, so... There we go. There's a category called All Paths, which means you need to run through the game 4 times total, and one of those runs, it needs to defeat the secret boss. And that will unlock the 5 out of 5 paths option on your options menu, and change your title screen from the kind of orange background to the blue background. And it unlocks a secret options menu where you can change the difficulty, load up all the shops, give yourself unlimited money. If you press... That's like the basic stuff. If you press X on the options menu, it gives you that. But if you press the start button, then it gives you a few more options as well, as to like change the size. Also, there's a stage select it can give you. So here we have to fight 2 of these walking guys, and you're probably thinking, okay, how can I just kick them off? Well, there's a little ledge on the side there where we jumped off, so you can just kick them off from there. And you can also kick them down from the platform, so that counts as making them fall. One of them walks slow, one of them walks fast. Which can be a little annoying for this one here that walks fast to knock it off. Also, their feet do neutral damage, so that's why I'm sitting kind of low on spirit right now. There we go. That should be it. Nope. It's still alive. How are you still alive? I guess I missed more Gatling shots than I thought. It'll die this time, though. Aha! Come on. I'm gonna just drain spirit from these guys here, just to get myself back up a little higher for this next little section. There we go. I just super like having the... making sure I have the thing there. That hallway does neutral damage if you get hit by any of the blocks, but if you just crouch dash through it, then you're fine. So here's the last of the gimmick bosses that we'll see after this little cutscene here.
Yes. This looks like goodbye.
If you're not paying attention, like if you don't read the text beforehand and understand the hint that it gives you, this boss can be very confusing. So he has grabby hands, and you want to get enemies into his grabby hands. But you only want to get opposite colored enemies into his grabby hand, so he eats the opposite color. So he's blue right now, you can tell by his wings. We want him to eat pink enemies. His grabby hands will go for the blue enemies, and until they start spinning, like so, you're able to shoot them out of his hands. He needs to eat 10 enemies of the opposite color for him to die. So the best way to do that is... I'm having trouble with math right now, but 4-4-2. So there's 3 rounds, that's the minimum you can defeat him in. So by doing 4 the first round, 4 the second round, and then just 2 for that one. So now he's blinking. That means he's going to change color soon. He's going to eat this last enemy here. And we want to start destroying the pink ones, because he's going to turn pink. When he starts crushing the enemies in the background, that means he's not going to be grabbing anything because he's eating them. And he takes damage. So now you can have 3 enemies on screen at once. And he's kind of actively working against you by doing moves like that will destroy them. So he's trying to attack you and he's getting his food in the way. I think if he eats food that's the same color, I don't remember if he revives health or if he revives spirit. If he gets like the majority of the same color. He can have like 1 or 2. As long as it's the majority, that's the opposite color, he'll take damage. So he has 3 right now. It'd be great if he grabbed another one. And he's not going to, because he's already squishing them down, so... We're at 4 and 3, so we need to get 3 more in this next round. Come on, grab your hands! The enemies follow you around, so you can kind of bait them towards where his hands are going for them to get grabbed. The longer he goes without eating something, the more he'll just kind of zoom around and grab whatever's closest. Even though, so like, normally he'll go for a, Actually, this should be it. He was squishing and I didn't catch it, but okay. He had his 3, he died. And we get wall slammed by Zohar. Because why not? So I guess this is kind of a gimmick fight as well, where you have 2 minutes, as shown on the timer, to either destroy Zohar or survive. Destroying is faster, so we want to do that. Come on, get out of that corner. She like changed like 2 times in a row there. No. It's really annoying when he turns blue and those thingies are still on the screen. Because... Come on. There we go. That's what I like to see. Slamming her into the ground, in the corner, and beating her up. So that's actually one of the path splits for the endings. If you defeat Zohar, we're going to be fighting a boss here that's kind of difficult. If you just stall out the 2 minutes, you'll be fighting this giant butterfly boss with a really awesome boss theme, and I kind of hate that we don't fight her in the speedrun anymore, because she, other than all paths. But that boss is also a big old damage sponge.
You shall not prevail.
So here we fight, like, Transform Zohar, Cypher Zohar. And she kind of has the same sort of moves, where the pink side is going to be using guns and bullets and ranged moves, and the blue side is going to be using swords. So you can time these jumps right and stand right in the middle of his body, and you will not get hit by the swords. The only move you'll get hit by is possibly that one. And that's just because it's kind of random. If you destroy enough bullets, that will give you a big enough space. And my thing is down, so I'm going to go for a death here, if I can. Come on.
Enemy power status critical.
Please stop embracing the void.
Messenger program initiated.
So I got hit a couple times that my spirit ended up being under 200. And you cannot absorb spirit from Zohar. So you have to, the only way to restore spirit is to die at this point. We are going to dodge that. So at half health, his pants fall off and start flying around the background and doing damage to you when hitting you, and also doing that, standing in the middle and making those giant beams. It'd be really cool if he killed me again here. Okay, cool. We'll start off the next fight with
Messenger program initiated.
max everything's, because he'll die right now. I did that on purpose because I wanted to start off the next part with max stuff. So Zohar is killed by math. We get a bunch of little cutscenes as our friends come to help us. Bug brings a shop for us. If we had any money, we'd buy stuff from the shop, but we don't have any money, so we will skip it. And we are going to the final choice of the game, which I'm going to be very careful with mashing the text on. I'm not going to be pressing X, I'm pressing the circle button. Okay. You want to choose the right side, because if you choose left, it's a different boss. You want to choose the right side to get to the right boss for the speedrun. Normally I mash through text by alternating circle and X, but I have accidentally chosen the wrong thing before with that.
You're of no
So
use
here we're
to
going to
me.
fight Megiddo again. This is the sort of medium ending path.
Watch this! Burning arrow!
So right there, after I threw him, he did his roses attack, which smashed into my face. You can easily die from that, because the roses do neutral damage.
Watch this! Surprise!
He's gonna jump to his death.
Helping hand! Watch!
Oh, come on.
Burning arrow!
I got that backwards. There we go, okay.
Helping hand!
So we only have to take off 500 hit points from him again. And now he's gonna transform, and we have a special move to deal with that.
Power status critical.
And I have to actually start hitting him now. Time. Sorry for the abrupt time there, but I was expecting him to die on that second hit and didn't think I would have to hit him, so that is still at Mirage. Sub 45, that's good. That's good for being as rusty as I am. The record is like 37 something, I think. My personal best is like 41, so. thank you very much for watching. Yes. I accomplished something. I recommend looking up some like older streams and stuff that me and the other runner, Chaos42666 do. You can glitch out the ending credits, which is kind of fun. So I recommend looking up his runs, and there's a couple newer runners that have started doing runs in the Japanese version as well, so look on the leaderboards. Feel free to join us. This is a great game to run and learn and play. So, thanks for having me.
Come along, children. Now we're going to have a little music. Like old times. Like old times.